Think about this for a second. The world you know ends tomorrow morning. The rules don't matter anymore. All the stores are empty. Your phone doesn't work. And nobody's coming to save you. This is when our preparedness stops becoming a hobby. Our preparedness is the only thing that counts. Most people are not going to make it because their plan is going to fall apart within the first 24 hours. I mean, seriously, have you ever stopped to think about it? All your lists, your bug out bags, all your gadgets that you've bought, and hell, even the talks you've had with your friends and family. Yeah, it always sounds really good and easy until the shit actually hits the fan. Trust me when I tell you, 90% of the entire country has never had to deal with any type of actual situation. And if your plan isn't solid, you are done. If your systems aren't tested, they are going to fail the first time you actually need them. And if you've never pushed yourself past your comfort zone, you are going to freeze when it matters the most. In today's video, we're going to be talking about 7 guidelines that every single prepared citizen needs to put into motion the second that we find ourselves in whatever situation is going on. Each one of these guidelines has a purpose, and each one is incredibly critical. If you miss even one, you are not going to make it. My name's Will, and to me, preparedness isn't only about surviving the end of the world, it's about who we are and what we're made of. I prepare to live, and I live to prepare. I am a prepared citizen. All right, as we talk about each one of these 7 rules, at the end of each one, I am going to ask you guys a question that I would love an answer to down in the comments. If you want, you can even send me an email. I would love to hear your thoughts on each one of these. And the first rule is what all survival experts, including myself, call the rule of threes. The rule of threes is going to define how long the human body can function when we don't have these things in the rule of threes. I know it doesn't make sense. Bear with me here, though. The first one is 3 minutes without air or oxygen. That's about how long the average human being can survive. Myself personally, it's about 2 minutes until I start getting a little dizzy. Now, this is also from dust and chemicals, confined spaces, obviously drowning. We need to be able to breathe to live, right? The second rule of 3 is going to be 3 hours without shelter. And I don't mean on a nice spring day or on a warm summer day. I'm talking about frigid cold temperatures or extreme heat. That is going to kill you. The next one is 3 days without water. We all know this. You guys harp on me all the time that I don't show enough water. I have some right here. 3 days without water is pretty much the upper limits of what most human beings can survive before they start having some type of cognitive and then full systems failure. And the final one is going to be 3 weeks without food. Now, me personally, it's more like 3 hours and I need to have a little snack because I start getting all dizzy and stuff like that. Really, 3 days is the outer limits of what most human beings can survive. So what do all these things mean for our situations? In a situation, our air quality, our shelter integrity, water access, food, all of this stuff becomes very unstable. And we might not know where the next meal or drink of water or night's rest is that we're going to get. And these are very important things that we have to remember in an SHTF event because most preppers, not prepared citizens, but preppers, they focus on the wrong priorities constantly. These rule of 3 gives us what I'm going to just create a word here and say decision hierarchy. These are the most important things. So my question to you on the rule of 3s is, which of these kills you first where you live right now? Is it air, exposure, water, food, or all of the above? If you don't know the answer to this question, you have not actually prioritized any of it. All right, rule number 2 is what I like to call the core concept of consumption triage. Say that 5 times fast. And no, I'm not talking about triaging your first aid needs. This is triaging your resources. So we kind of have to break this down when we're in whatever situation we're in. We need to run with our assessment before consumption, right? So before you start using something, you have to identify how much of it you have and exactly what it is for. Is it food? Is it water? Is it medicine? Etc. You're not going to consume supplies at the normal daily rates that we're doing them right now. You have to evaluate your inventory first before you kind of start allocating things. And you really need to prioritize your critical needs first. You set your consumption priorities based on immediate survival needs. food, water, medicine. This is going to ensure that these essentials are not wasted on, I guess we could call it non-critical use. Stretching your supplies when you don't know when you're going to be resupplied is a skill that not a lot of people know how to do. You have to remember that supply chains become very unpredictable in the SHTF situations. Your access to stores is pretty much going to stop. So consumption triage aims to maximize survivability right up until the end or until you get resupplied. Our habitual consumption that we do every single day, I literally had 3 Reese's Pieces during a break, but this is no longer sustainable for us. And we need to create a reserve that buys us time to live longer. So my question to each and every one of you out there is, could you cut all of your food, your fuel, and your medicine in half starting tonight and still be able to function 1 week from today? If you don't, then you need to know what your actual consumption rate is. Rulo number 30 is a topic that all of you preppers love, and it's the gray man principle. If you're not familiar with what the gray man principle is, I'm going to tell you. This is the idea of staying incredibly unremarkable, incredibly unnoticed in all of your surroundings. Something that your friend the prepared citizen can't do anymore, unfortunately. Now, the gray man theory comes from both military strategy and, well, us, prepared people. Pretty much don't stand out in a crowd. That's the best way I can describe it. So what does the gray man theory mean in an SHTF situation? In a disaster or societal stress or, riots or whatever the case may be, attention is going to shift very quickly to those people who actually are prepared, who advertise their preparedness on the internet. People who look like they have a lot of gear and food and whatnot, they're going to be approached by people who don't have that asking for help. And this is either going to turn into a helpful situation or they're going to kill you and then take everything that you have. Moving through the crowd or whatever environment you're in, unnoticed lets you avoid confrontation. This is very important. You're going to be able to reach safety zones or supply points, whatever the case may be, safely. And I'll tell you what, why this is important. Being unnoticed lets you observe your environment. That's the most important thing. You can observe and you can see everything else that's happening. It's called situational awareness. A lot of people don't have it. If you don't have it, you're never going to get it, but try and get it. So my question to you now is, if a stranger saw you tomorrow, would they assume that you're a prepared person? Assume that you have firearms? Assume that you're well supplied? Assume that you have lethal training? If your answer is yes, you're doing this all wrong and you need to reevaluate. This is probably a really great time for me to stop and ask you to please subscribe to the channel. If you like the video, please hit the hype button. Thank you so much for the literally tens of thousands of people who have been hitting the hype button. You're really helping the channel out a lot. And of course, the real action, the real fun, and the real conversations person to person with me all happen over on Patreon. Please check it out. The link is in every description of every single video. Rule number 4 is a really important one to me, and we talk about it constantly on this channel, so you're probably not going to be surprised that it is the core concept of perimeter awareness. Perimeter awareness from a tactical standpoint is something that I have to keep saying it. Prepared people, preppers, just don't give a flying rat's ass about. Having good perimeter security is detection, deterrence, and most importantly, response. Your perimeter is your literal first layer of defense. Knowing where your perimeter begins and where it ends is highly crucial. You're going to notice abnormal activity very quickly. Physical barriers, early warning signs like flares and whatnot are very important. Perimeter defense, ladies and gentlemen, is not passive. It is never friggin' passive. For urban or city environments, these are highly complex things that you have to deal with when it comes to protecting your perimeter, because your apartment building has multiple entry points. There's always people moving around. The most important thing that we did not talk about in the last video, which was the urban versus country, is that in the apartment, you always have a shared wall. Somebody else is on the other side of the wall, and those walls are thin and would be very easy to move through. In the urban environment, effective perimeter awareness means monitoring those streets, the alleys, rooftops, everything that you can get your eyes on, you need to be constantly paying attention. So out here in the rural country environment, we have a lot more area. We have a lot more ability to put up fences. We have natural features like trees and hills and all kinds of stuff that we can use as vantage points. But perimeters really matter when it comes to SHTF because it gives you that warning before you need to actually have it in your face. Without good perimeter awareness, threats are always going to arrive without warning, and they're going to be inside your space before you even know it. So my question for you here is, would you know someone was approaching your location from 100 feet away, whether it was daytime or nighttime? If you don't, then you really need to take a good, hard, long look at your perimeter defense. Rule number 5. Now, I like to call this the reverse 911 protocol. It doesn't mean you're calling 911 or they're looking up your phone number. This is a core concept for me personally of absolute self-reliance. Self-reliance for me is an absolute mindset that no one is coming to help me for a minimum of 60 days. All of my planning is always going to assume isolation from everybody, and my survival depends entirely on what I can control, maintain, and execute by myself. So what does this mean specifically for us prepared citizens? Well, operational plans remove dependence on everything. We don't rely on anybody or any system or nothing. We rely on no one. So that means that any task that we perform is only going to rely on ourselves. In a situation, you have to remember that emergency responses are going to be very limited, sometimes not coming at all. So those centralized systems, they are always going to be prioritizing on the biggest disaster. You can kind of understand that if that house is on fire and you're just injured in your street, you get the idea. That's just a long way of me saying you got to be able to rely on yourself and yourself only. So my question for you is this: what part of your daily routine depends on someone else showing up for you? What part of your day? Is it bringing you water? Is it the pharmacy? Is it McDonald's? Which one is it? You need to identify those things, and then you need to replace them with something that you can do yourself. Okay, we're moving to rule number 6 now, and this is something that I'm glad I'm getting comments on it now, but we did a video on it before. It completely flopped, and it's the most important thing when it comes to any type of survival, and that is the core concept of your mental load management. Being able to handle stress is going to help you maintain clear thinking and making good decisions. Stress is what we're going to have when the shit hits the fan. Anytime we're uncertain about any crisis, we kind of start to lose our shit. This is not something that I can teach you, and this is not something that any YouTube video can teach you. You need to go out and literally make yourself suffer. You have to push your limits so hard. You're not going to like it. It's going to be miserable and terrible. But guys, you have to do it. Under stress, people tend to default to their instinctive, natural thought processes, right? Muscle memory. Like if somebody comes through the door right now, I'm pulling a handgun out immediately. That's my muscle memory to do that. So what this means in a situation is that we are going to face constant stress. There's going to be a threat every single minute of every single day. Uncertainty, not only for our own well-being, but our family, our friends, our groups. Absolute information overload. It's going to be absolute chaos on your brain. So without practical mental load management, you're just screwed. I don't even know how else to say it, but you're just screwed. Before I ask you my question, I gotta just make a point here that anxiety, whatever the fuck that means, is crippling this nation. Everybody has fucking anxiety. Young people, it is rampant among you. All of you have some type of anxiety. Here's your wake-up check. You're fucked. You're not going to make it. You are absolutely fucked. I know a lot of you people don't like my language, but I have to say it because it's true. You guys need to hear the truth. All right, so my question is, when things get stressful, do you slow down and think about it and start to think clearer? Or do you rush, ready, fire, aim, and make poor decisions? If you don't know the answer to that question, then you have never actually put yourself in any type of life or death situation. Rule number 7, and this one gets everybody, and it has been used throughout our history, and is what I call the core concept of the information doctrine. So what the hell does that mean? Well, it's my idea that in a crisis, any type of crisis, information ability and the quality of that information is going to be disrupted, restricted, or nowadays incredibly incredibly misleading. If we can't get reliable news, if we can't get reliable information, because we can't right now, you can't trust anything except for my channel that you see on YouTube. In a true situation, digital networks, Amber Alerts, and all types of communications are just going to stop. And this is going to force people to rely on very degraded information systems. We can all agree that information in a situation is a critical survival resource. It's not a convenience at all, ladies and gentlemen. The internet, cell towers, the public emergency broadcasts, they may become unavailable or they're going to get extremely overloaded. We have historical incidents to back up all of this information. The only good thing is we won't have social media. I won't have a job anymore, but so why does this matter in an SHTF event? Well, it's because information is king. Find me a group of military operators that are going out on a patrol who don't have an ATAC, who don't have a drone following them, who do not have some type of information packet. They all have it. Now, sometimes that information is wrong, and they end up getting schwacked or shot at or whatever, but they're still having, some type of information. Information gaps, they drive the fear. That's why YouTube videos have clickbait thumbnails. 7 things you must do now, or whatever. Yeah, I've done it, and it's why the news does, coming up in 5 minutes, how your laptop battery can kill your family, when the real story is that the battery gets hot and it can start a fire. This is a problem that we have nowadays. So my question to you is, if your phone shut off right now, how would you know what is actually happening beyond your driveway? If you don't know how you're going to get that information, you're blind, you're deaf, and you're dumb. Now, this was a super fun video for me to make, and I've been looking forward to making this for a very long time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, hype button, check out the Patreon. My final thing that I would like to say to each and every one of you out there is Merry Christmas. I'm a big Christmas guy. I love Christmas. In fact, all back here on this table, right here, these are all the gifts that I am sending out to my Patreon members. We've been doing a 12 Days of Christmas thing over there. It's been so much fun. I hope all of you have a very happy Christmas and a great new year. We'll have a new video out next week. My name is Will. I'm the Prepared Citizen. And remember, the best time to prepare was yesterday. The second best time is today.